Hey guys, Rob and Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, with episode number 14 here, fresh off just having talked about episode 13. We're rolling right on into this one, although you'll see it a week after, obviously, all that junk. Grotesque, episode number 14, first dropped February 2nd, 1996. Another Monster of the Week episode. Kim Manners on directing, Howard Gordon writing, and I have to say, this is right up there in my top 5 of most intriguing, enjoyable episodes in terms of the Monster of the Week episodes. I thought it was, I love it anytime you tap into the Quantico days, the behavioral Institute days, when Mulder was making a name for himself by his sketches on serial killers and whatnot. And we're gonna have fun talking about this one. This was served up for an Emmy for Outstanding Cinematography, and there's some good stuff going on here. Some interesting references going on with Friedrich Nietzsche as well. I didn't see anything in the trivia in terms of David Duchovny's thought on this episode. It really did seem like he was attempting to go to some dark places. It kind of reminds you of, in a way, it reminds you of The Silence of the Lambs or Manhunter. And of course, you know, they are, Jack Crawford, of course, from Silence is, Manhunter is, well, his character is based off of John Douglas, who is the guy, who is an early member of the FBI's behavioral sciences unit, who really established this unique way of going after serial killers. Unfortunately, that is sort of the tension built within this episode between Mulder and his, I guess I can say his idol, so to speak, the one he really looked up to and temptably tried to learn from back in the Quantico days. And this is your guest appearance, Kurtwood Smith. We know him from the 70s show, The Dad, which is funny because in the 70s show, he plays, if you remember Terry, one of the girls from last week's episode, he plays her dad in that 70s show, which is pretty cool. And I did not know there was that 90s show. I didn't realize that until I was going down through the filmography stuff. But RoboCop, most people probably know him from RoboCop. He is Rick Clarence, the main bad guy pulling the strings, or one of the main guys pulling the strings in that one. I never knew. Did I ever know he was the Federation president in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country? Did not know that. Rambo 3, I forgot his role in that. And I forgot he was in A Time to Kill, but a pretty established actor right here. And he really brings his chops to this role. He plays, he's sort of a detective who has been 3 years in looking for this serial killer. And things kind of go off the trail for him. I don't know how much I want to get into it, really. I know some are revisiting these. Some may even be seeing these for the first time, or maybe it's been so long you don't remember how things sort of played themselves out. So I think I'll just leave it at that. But he calls Mulder in to help him because although he plays it off as though he doesn't trust Mulder, deep down he really does, and he knows if anyone can crack this case, and it is of the utmost of importance in terms of Agent Patterson, Kurtwood Smith's character. It is of the utmost importance that Mulder brings a resolution, a finality to this case. And I'll leave those reasons why exactly. But it works out in the end a pretty good end to it. It's one of those where you sort of if it's in a film, you've already would have traveled an hour in perhaps 20 or 15 some minutes, and you're leading up to that final moment and the great reveal. Of course, everything is compressed into like 45, but it's carried out in a really good way. You basically open with and I love when films or shows start off with those sketch artists who are somebody in the middle of the room who is modeling for them, and they are sketching out their interpretation of what they see. The Cabin of Curiosities, the Guillermo del Toro show, had one that had an opening. I think it was a Lovecraftian tale that was opened somewhat like this, and I think even Hostel Part 2 might have opened like this. So you get this one guy, man, who seems to be interpreting what he sees sitting before him as demonic. Definitely more to this story. Now, eventually, they'll be leaving this place, and the model in question will be trying to get to his car. He will be attacked by an assailant and killed. And very shortly thereafter, before the opening credits, the FBI, of course, invade this guy who we saw sketching his interpretation, of course, seeing the demonic. They will very, very quickly be led to him and arrest him. And of course, that's when Bill Patterson, there's another murder, and it's one where this guy could not have done. And so there's a question as to, is this just a copycat, or but Patterson just needs this case wrapped up. He needs it to end. And so Mulder is called in, and Scully. And so begins Mulder's own personal dark descent into the demons that can come out. Now, the tension I alluded to is the approach that Mulder takes versus Patterson. They may not seem that different, but they are different. But yet Mulder can't not be affected by this, and it is starting to affect him in not so different ways as we saw with what's the character's name from Manhunter? I just said it last night as I was talking to my wife. It popped in my head. Anyways, he went on to lead CSI, and it's very early. Thought I was going to pop in there. It almost did. You kind of, you just kind of get this sense that maybe Mulder's headed towards this really, really dark place, as he's doing everything in his power to apprehend the assailant. And he suffers from some really nightmares, and even maybe perhaps hallucinatory images, nightmarish quality that really do start to call into question his character, in terms of Skinner and Scully both starting to get really worried about him. And so it is and I kind of wrote down here, it's a great episode. I think it's a great episode to watch Halloween night, man. If you're just looking for a few not so long things, this I think would be a great episode to watch on Halloween night. It's got some just really twisted stuff going on, and of course it leads to a great resolution, which I just won't get into. I'll leave that one just in case there's anyone out there that just hasn't seen it or can't quite remember how it all went down. You really need to revisit it. This one is definitely, it could arguably, be argued into a top 5 easily for season 3, but maybe even the first 3 seasons, perhaps. This one's a good one. This one is a good one, and some good little callbacks to the things that I mentioned. And you can see how these things played as Thomas Harris's novel, I'm sure, and the real story of John Douglas, how these things, influenced art, in terms of film novels, fiction, TV, and it is interesting. And anytime, I wish we would have got way more than we got. In fact, I wish we would have got a full-length feature film involving Mulder, and it really would have been this type of character. I think that would have been absolutely fantastic. We did get the Aquarius episodes. I really would like to revisit those, although I don't think those seasons went near as long as they should have, or I can't remember if they even finished those off. But I think that might have been an attempt to capitalize on some of that. So anyways, so here we are at Grotesque, our episode 14, and now we make ready for the next two, Piper Maru and Apocrypha, and another deep dive back into the mythos, and we will see how much more is laid out for us in terms of where we may be headed in the future. I'll say this has been a lot of fun so far, and I am just having an absolute blast just revisiting these, and some of these I've forgotten about. And it'll be interesting to see how the mythos just sort of continually evolve, and how much, especially as we get near the end of season 5 and make ready for Fight the Future, which I will review in between seasons 5 and 6. I'll take a really hardcore look, as hardcore as I can, look at that film, as well as once we get out past 11. I think it's 11, past 11, when the I Want to Believe film came out. I do want to look at that one as well. That one has really grown on me of late. Each time I put that on, I like it more and more. And I wasn't sure what to think initially, but anyhow, just a blast, just an absolute blast. As always, thank you for your support. Thank you. If you haven't subbed, please do that. It helps. Hit the like button, comment. Always love answering comments. And yeah, as always, go Bills.